Hello learners, welcome to our session today. I am your instructor, CPA Aringo Frederick. In our class today, my good students, this is what you are going to do. We are going to look at a very important concept in our syllabus, and this should be the concept to do with our strategy formulation. Ideally, this is topic number 4 in our syllabus. This is a topic number 4. Topic 4. Strategy formulation. This is a strategy formulation. A very important concept. So, anytime we are talking of a strategy formulation, my good students, what are we supposed to understand? Because remember, in our previous classes, we had introduced the concept of a strategy. We looked at what strategy will encompass of. So, in our class today, I want us to talk about now, I want to formulate our strategy. What are some of the key elements that you must always have in mind? Anytime you are talking of a strategy formulation, you must always understand this concept. Number one, I must be able to understand the environmental analysis. I must be able to know the environmental analysis, very key concept. I must also be able to understand organizational vision and mission. Organizational vision and mission. Organizational vision and mission, very key. Also, you should be able to understand the organizational goals, organizational goals and objectives, organizational goals and objectives. Development of corporate strategy, 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 and business strategy, and business strategy, and business strategy. 5, I must also be very good in strategic options. Looking at strategic, talk of strategic options. 6, talk about strategy formulation constraints. Strategy formulation constraints. What will hinder us to achieve our strategy? Strategy formulation constraints. Talk of competitive advantage. And number 7, we will be talking of competitive advantage. Competitive advantage. So always, my good students, anytime we are looking at, anytime we are talking of this concept of strategy formulation, because I assume that by now we are all familiar on what strategy entails. The aspect of principles in setting up these strategies, we're all familiar with that. So at this point, this is what we'll be looking at. Under topic number 4, make sure that you are good in understanding some of these key concepts. Basically, all of this. If you have them in mind, you'll find that approaching this topic will be very, very easy for us. Approaching this topic will be very, very easy for us. As usual, we are going to handle each and every concept using our past paper question, so that it should open our mind wide how to answer this question for the purpose of exams, and also how we can tend to understand these concepts when it comes to a practical manner, when you're looking at it on the practical side of it. So allow me to erase here, and we start with the first one, environmental analysis. We start with environmental analysis. But before even environmental analysis, it will be very important for us to understand, whenever we are talking of strategy formulation, what do we mean? It will be very, very important for us to understand, first of all, the meaning or definition of strategy formulation. So definition. In the event that you are told to define what strategy formulation is, what can we say, my good students? In the event that you are told to define what strategy formulation is, what will come at the back of our mind? So anytime you are looking at strategy formulation, my good students, anytime we are looking at strategy formulation, we will be looking at this concept where we normally tend to say that this refers to the process of choosing the most appropriate course of action for the realization of organizational goals. Mark this very well. We are saying anytime I am looking at strategy formulation, I'll just be talking of the process of choosing the most appropriate course of action for the realization of organizational goals. For the realization of the organizational goals. Because we have already defined the strategy. Remember, we had looked at it. We have already defined our strategy. After we've defined our strategy, now I want to formulate it in a way that we can also implement it very swiftly. And that's why we are saying at this point that strategy formulation ideally is just that process of choosing the most appropriate course of action for the realization of organizational goals. The moment I'm able to understand what strategy formulation is, we can now proceed and start analyzing the components of strategy formulation, which we've said is going to include the following: environmental analysis, which we've talked of, environmental analysis, environmental analysis, environmental analysis. And my good students, anytime you are talking of this concept, I want us to approach it with an open mind. SG is not for crammers. The moment you've messed up cramming SGA, that would be a very, very big mistake. So what I want us to do is, as we are approaching these concepts of SG, I want us to think like managers. I want us to take ourselves in that office. I want us to take ourselves in that office of a manager. Take yourself that you need to make now this decision practically. If you're looking at it in that manner, you'll find that you will tend to have a lot of points when it comes to answering questions for SGA. But the moment you want to cram, that would be a very big mess. So, my good students, let us approach it with an open mind. Let us just approach it with an open mind, and you'll find that it will be very, very simple for us to understand these concepts. Now, the most important thing when you're talking of environmental analysis, ideally, just looking at it on a layman's perspective, what will click at the back of our mind? Just looking at it on a layman's perspective, anytime you are talking of environmental analysis, what should click at the back of our mind? At this point, I'm giving you a concept, right? It's upon us to analyze what we can do to improve our talk of operations within, that is internal. At the same time, I must also tend to look at the external factors that might hinder us to do what? To achieve our goals or objectives. So, looking at the concept of environmental analysis, we normally tend to look at one main factor, which we normally use an acronym of what? Of SWOT. SWOT analysis. Anytime you're talking of environmental analysis, kindly make sure that this concept has clicked at the back of your mind. We normally tend to talk of what? SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis. SWOT analysis. At this point, we normally tend to look at our strength. Talk of our weaknesses or weakness. Talk of our opportunities around, and also what are the threats to these opportunities. Basically, for the first two, these ideally they are within us. These are internal, these are internal, these are internal, these are internal, these are internal. Whereas on the other two, ideally these are what? External. These are external. These are external. These are external. So you will find that anytime we'll be talking of SWOT analysis, this is what will entail. This is what will entail the aspect of strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and strength. So to understand this concept, my good student, remember you're just breaking it down. You're just breaking it down. We normally tend to look at it as maybe a person will ask Mwalimu, what are these acronyms that you have written here? So it is ideal and very important for us to understand whenever we're talking of SWOT analysis, ideally, what do we mean? Because it's not all a matter, it's not all about us knowing the acronyms, but it will be very key if we dig deep and understand what this concept is, right? So when you are talking of SWOT analysis, my good students, when you are talking of SWOT analysis, which we've said, this stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. SWOT analysis, ideally, we normally tend to say that this is a framework used to evaluate a company's competitive position. It is a frame used to evaluate a company's competitive position and to develop strategic planning, because it's all about future. Our focus is not only what you want to achieve today, but we are looking at our company in, say, like 10 or 5 years to come. Our focus is ideally on future. And that's why we are saying that SWOT analysis is a framework used to evaluate companies' competitive position and to develop strategic planning. SWOT analysis, ideally, it normally tends to assess internal and external factors as well as current and future potential, as well as current and future potential, just as what we have here. We said we will be talking of internal and also external. At the same time, you'll find that the aspect of SWOT also, another analysis that we are going to do also in this class, we normally tend to term it as what? As PESTEL analysis, as PESTEL analysis. So, to work it out, my good student, analyzing this concept of ours, I want us to look at these questions. As we are working out this concept, I want us to handle this concept of environmental analysis by looking at these questions. The first question should be November 2020. The first question should be November 20. These are not November 2020, but November 2019, question number 2B. So we are talking of November 2019, question number 2B. November 2019, question number 2B. November 2019, question number 2B. I'll also want us to look at another question which was also tested on May 2018, question number May 2018. I'll also want us to look at this question, May 2018, question number, that should be question number 2, question number 2, part C, and also a question which was tested in November 2018, question number 5C, question number 5C. So, as we'll be looking at the concept of SWOT analysis, we will be handling this concept using these questions for November 2019. This is a strategy, governance, and ethics, SGA. So you can go to November 2019, question number 2B. Also the same concept, May 2018, question number 2C. And November 2018, question number 5, part C. I want us to handle this concept using these questions of ours. So let's start. We've said that when we will be talking of SWOT analysis, I'll be looking at this concept: strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So we start with the aspect of strength. My good student. We are starting with the aspect of strength. Talk of our strength. I want us to start with strength. And this concept will also kind of summarize it with the concept of balanced scorecard perspectives. Because the moment we approach it in that manner, you'll find that it will be very simple for us. So what we are going to do, we are going to approach the concept of SWOT analysis with the concept of balanced scorecard perspective, so that it should assist us to understand each and every component of this business environment. Because business environment will find that many a times, if not always, it always relies on the concept of balanced scorecard perspective. So to start with strength, ideally, what should come at the back of our mind, my good students? For us to understand the concept of strength, we should be looking at a case of what will make you stand out. That is your strength, of course, right? When you're looking at, say, for example, like maybe when you're looking at it in regard to technology-wise, right? A good example, I normally tend to use the example of Elon Musk. What makes Elon Musk to stand out? Because he's good in areas, or he's good in what he's doing, right? He knows that his strength is in technology, and that is where he has focused mainly on. When it comes to rockets, he's there, top notch. When it comes to EV, these are electric vehicles, he's also there, he is standing out ideally. The same case when it comes to our businesses. Assuming that right now we are probably dealing, or maybe we are in the middle of this pandemic, right? Being in the middle of this pandemic, you'll find that what will make businesses to stand out? They'll have to identify their strength. Say, for example, like right now, I know we all know that Mdarasa is the best platform for e-learning, more so for CPA students. And why are we standing out? Why is Mdarasa standing out? Mdarasa is standing out because it knows very well that amongst its strength is to provide quality to students, also to provide a very cost-effective platform and very flexible and user-friendly. So you'll find that already we've identified, or Mdarasa has identified its strength. And that's why they are standing out amongst the rest. So you know very well that that is where we are standing out. So that is our strength. Any other business, they'll have to identify their strength, and from this strength that they have, you'll find that that is what will make them to stand out. But again, you'll find that while looking at the concept of strength, there are four main perspectives that we'll always be looking at. We have our four main perspectives that we'll be looking at. So always the question will be, what are we good at? That should always be the question that we will always be asking ourselves. What are we good at? What are we good at? Then, of course, after knowing that, you'll find that I'll be looking at it in various stages. I'll be looking at the concept of strength in various stages. So, number one area that I'll be looking at, in my case, I'll be looking at my financial strength. Financial strength, financial strengths, financial strengths, financial strength. So, at this point, I'll be looking at it in a case that asking this question, like, what is the most reliable source of my financial growth? What is the most reliable source of your financial growth as a business? And also talk of, at this point, what do we want to go in, say, like 3 years' time? So you'll find that in this case, you will find that looking at this case, I'll also be looking at my customers' loyalty, because this is what will assist us ideally to generate these funds. So at this point, we are saying we are going to break it down, whereby I'll be looking at it in terms of our financial strength. That's the first and most important thing that you must always focus on. Then the other strength that we can look at, we can talk of the customer strength. Customer strength. Remember, at this point, you're breaking it down with the concept of balanced scorecard. So looking at the customer strength, I'm going to ask myself, where is the main source of my customer? Where are our customers normally tend to come from most of the cases? So where is our, talk of where is our customer growth coming from? Maybe is it due to excellent service ratings or low prices? Why are our customers choosing us over other competitors? You'll find that these are some of the questions that we'll always be asking ourselves. So, having identified our customer, you'll find that is going to give us a key and very strong, probably, element to rely on. Now, after we analyze our customer strength, of course, why are they choosing us? Is it because that we are offering quality, or is it because that we are offering low prices? Where are they coming from? Where are they knowing us more, mostly about? Say, for example, let us use Darasa. Are you getting us via YouTube? Probably most of most of our clients probably have known us from YouTube, from referrals, for example, maybe from advertisements that we make. So it will be very key for any business to identify the source of their customer. That would be amongst the strength of the business, which they should identify. Talk about the aspect of internal strength. Talk about the aspect of internal strength. Talk about the aspect of internal strengths. Looking at internal strength, my good students, we are looking at it in a case whereby we have various departments in organization, right? So what do we do very well as an organization? Are our operations easily scalable? Do we have exceptionally high employees retention rate? How complex is our maintenance program? So you'll find that these are all the questions that we'll always be asking ourselves. And ideally, remember all this, we are analyzing our internal affairs. We are all analyzing our internal affairs. Now, after strength, we can also talk about the aspect of learning and growth strength. That is learning and growth strength. Learning and growth strength. Remember this point, we are breaking it down with the concept of balanced scorecard. With the concept of balanced scorecard. So the other question that we'll be looking at it in terms of learning and growth strength, it will all be a matter of asking ourselves that probably where do we excel in so far as our employees are concerned? Is our compensation model well, or probably talk of making sense, right? Could it be our workforce development program? Are the people coming or leaving because of our culture? So these are some of the questions that we'll always be asking ourselves, right? Talk of from organizational culture, what do we have? How do we compensate our employees? What am compensating our employees? Will they enable them to grow? And looking at all these factors, we'll find that the moment I know that, is going to give us kind of a leeway, is going to give us form of motivation that you know very well that this is our area that we must maximize for us to achieve the organizational goals and objectives. So that is very key in regard to strength. After we've talked of strength, what about our weaknesses? Very key. What about our weaknesses? What about our weaknesses? What about our weaknesses? The same concept, my good student, we can break it down using the balanced scorecard perspective, looking at what are our financial weaknesses. What are our financial weaknesses? What are our financial weaknesses? Talk of what about the customers' weaknesses in regard to how we are satisfying them. Talk about internal factors. Talk about the aspect of internal weaknesses. Internal weaknesses. Talk about, my good students, talk about the aspect to do with learning and growth weaknesses. Learning and growth weaknesses. Learning and growth weaknesses. Learning and growth weaknesses. So, whenever we are looking at our weaknesses, first of all, to start with financial weaknesses, maybe just to explain for us to understand this concept clearly. Looking at financial weaknesses, we'll just be looking at a case whereby first of all, just pose them as questions. What is our biggest financial weaknesses? We want to scale up, but on scaling up, you'll find that I'm having a lot of things that will hinder us to scale up. Such, say, for example, like we don't have enough resources when it comes to finance. Maybe I need to purchase various equipments which will enable us to improve more quality. We don't have that. Our customers need quality. So in such an event, you will find that looking at it in this case, in terms of a financial weakness, this can hinder, of course, the organization to do what? To grow. What about customers' weaknesses? So you'll find that, of course, we normally tend to have a lot of feedback from clients. And the clients probably, we normally tend to say that they are the one who normally tend to make the business, right? So the moment I'm getting this feedback, probably your clients are complaining a lot that we don't deliver as per what we have, or maybe in this case, one or two questions that maybe, which are some of the areas that we need to probably improve. Maybe we normally tend to have a lot of downtime when it comes to our systems. So you'll find that looking at it in this perspective, my good student, you'll find that customers, from the feedback that you're getting from them, is going to assist us to know what are our weaknesses and how we can improve on the same, right? What about internal weaknesses? Whenever we're talking of internal weaknesses, my good student, normally look at it in this case, internally, regarding operations, what are we poorly on? Is it management? Is it marketing? Is it talk of maybe what? Is it maybe we've talked of marketing? Is it management? Is it that you're not providing what is required to our employees? So you'll find that all this, ideally, we are analyzing what is happening within us. And in that case, knowing what is happening within our organization, we can tend to improve based on this aspect of what? Analyzing our internal weaknesses. What about when it comes to learning and growth weaknesses, my good students? What must we always have in mind? At that point, we normally tend to talk of our learning and growth, talk of how effective is our employees. Are they knowledgeable in what they are doing? In that case, looking also at it in that case, you'll find that what about the perception of the organizational culture towards our employees? How can we improve our organizational culture to make sure that at least it has accommodated everyone? So you'll find that that is in regard to the aspect of learning and growth weaknesses. My good students, anytime we're approaching these concepts, the moment we are approaching these concepts with open mind, you'll find that they are always very sweet. And so long as we have a strategy on how we can work it out, you'll find that this concept will always just sink. And as I had said earlier on, for SG, by the way, it's not for you to cram, guys. SGE is all about you understanding the whole idea, understanding the concept behind it. And if you are to look at it on a wider perspective, if you are to look at it on a bigger picture, you'll find that these points will just be flowing. Like, for example, you see the approach that we just used in handling the aspect of SWOT analysis, right? We are looking at it in regard to what? In regard to the balanced scorecard perspective, which at least will make it to be very easy and also for us to understand this concept very, very clearly, right? Now, after we've talked of our weaknesses, I'll also want us to talk about our opportunities. The same case, my good students, I'll want us to look at it using the balanced scorecard perspective. And whenever we're talking of these four perspectives, ideally we normally tend to talk about what? Financial opportunities. This case now, looking at opportunities, we're talking of financial opportunities. What are the financial opportunities available in regard to And ideally, this one you're looking at it, these are just external, right? As you had mentioned, these are some of the external factors. We are looking at external factors, meaning that they are beyond our control. They are beyond our control. So you're talking of financial opportunities. We are looking at it in a case whereby I'm looking at it on a customer's opportunities. Customer opportunities. We're also talking about talk of internal opportunities. Internal opportunities. And also we are looking at it in regard to learning and growth opportunities. Learning and growth opportunities. So also using this approach, my good student, you'll find that again we can tend to come up with a lot of points whenever we are looking at it in regard to these four perspectives, right? So now analyzing opportunities, of course, these are, we can term them as opportunities. Probably we normally tend to look at what is a possibility, what are some of the factors that are outside there which will assist us to grow, right? We are looking at avenues that are available, avenues that we can tend to use to assist us to grow as business, where I can take advantage of and tend and assist us to grow. And that's why we are looking at it in this case. We are looking at it in regard to opportunities, right? So to start with financial opportunity, my good student, a very good example, you can talk of it in a case whereby what are some of the biggest opportunity that we can improve our finances? Take, for example, during this COVID time, right? During COVID-19, there are so many avenues that we can tend to source our finances. Take, for example, banks. They are kind of providing that relief to businesses, whereby we can take loan probably at negotiable interest rates. Talk of maybe the aspect of what the government has given citizens to caution the SMEs when it comes to this threat of this pandemic. Talk of just the other day, you noted that at least there was that reduction of tax rates to businesses around. So you'll find that if I would pay probably less than what I used to pay in form of tax, there's that aspect of savings. So if we were to look at it on a wider perspective, we are just thinking practically, you'll find that we'll be having a lot of points. So looking at it in that case, I'm looking at what are the opportunities outside there in terms of finances, which we can take advantage of for us to grow our business. Ideally, that is what we are looking at. Also, another example, maybe when you're talking of customers' opportunities, my good students. Right now, everything is being converted, everything, ideally, almost everything, it has been channeled online. Everything has been channeled online. In regard to our customers, how can we tend to maintain? How can we acquire new customers? So in this case, we find that we can, if we didn't have, probably term it as a very good system. So when it comes to online performance, allow to source for that, allow to acquire that, so that as at the end of the day, I will always satisfy our customers. And that's why I normally tend to look at it whereby talk of maybe we have to maybe enhance our online interface, which will enable more clients to come in, which will enable us to deliver very effective, quality, and talk of efficient learning to you guys. So you'll find that when you're looking at it in regard to the customers' opportunities, we just tend to let us open our mind wide. And the moment you have our mind being open wide, not cramming, my good students, not cramming. we should understand the concept. We try to conceptualize it and also look at it on a bigger picture. You'll find that we'll be having a lot of points, right? What about internal opportunities available? So you'll find that at this point I'll be looking at what are some of the processes that will drive us very well in the future, so that these are the processes that we need to kind of probably improve. Talk of maybe maybe the aspect of maybe maintaining climate, maintaining our environment clearly. So you'll find that ideally, what are we doing to make sure that we're not polluting our environment? And in that case, what are some of the opportunities that you can earn from there? This is a goodwill from society. So you'll find that ideally, how are we carrying out ourselves that will influence the society, probably to market our products? So you'll find that for you, maybe you had a referral from your friend. What influences your friend to give you a referral to come on MDarasa? Because it is how we are conducting ourselves. Maybe in that case, you saw us on YouTube. What made you to make that step to go ahead and probably purchase this unit that you are viewing right now, SG? It is because of how we conducted ourselves there, right? So if you're to look at it just on a wider and practical perspective, you will find that you'll be having a lot of points. You'll find that you'll be having a lot of points. Still the same concept with learning and growth opportunities. Now, after we've talked of this concept of SWOT, maybe finalizing it with the aspect of threats. Also for threats, my good student, also for threats, this one I want you guys to think about it. I want you guys to explain the concept of strength, the concept of threat using this perspective. Financial perspective, talk of customer's perspective, talk of customer perspective, talk of the aspect to do with the internal threat perspective, internal threat, and talk of learning and growth. Learning and growth. Learning and growth. I want you guys to look at it on that perspective and always try to come and explain these concepts, right? Now, looking at this question, because I've just given you a base or a basis on what we are required to do. Now, if you are to go in this question, November 2019 question number 2B, May 2018 question number 2C, and November 2018 question number 5C, you'll find that the concept is just the same. The concept here is exactly the same as what we've written. Just to share this question, of ours. So talk of maybe we start with the question for November 2019. Question number 2. Let us all look at this question number 2. November 2019, question number 2. We are told to justify the use of SWOT analysis in strategic management. Justify the use of SWOT analysis in strategic management. Now, my good student, I know very well with what we've studied. Like in this event, we are told to justify the use of SWOT in strategic management. You'll find that the use of SWOT analysis in our strategic management is going to assist us to analyze some of the factors that will assist us to grow. Like, for example, is going to assist us to understand our financial model in regard to strength, in regard to our weaknesses, the opportunities available, and threat affecting us. Talk, for example, like customers. In this case, if we are able to come up with a very clear and strategic SWOT analysis, is going to assist us to identify the area that we can tend to allocate our customers clearly. Through feedbacks, is going to assist us to understand the weaknesses that we are incurring, and also opportunities available. What are the opportunities that you can use to acquire more customers? And also talk of threats. What are some of these threats that will hinder us to acquire more customers and all that, right? What about the aspect of internal strength? What do we have in terms of business when it comes to resources available, that is employees, personnel?